What is going on, my Houston Texans family? Now that the schedule has been released and we know when and where this Houston Texans team is going to be playing in 2025, let's do our yearly early win loss predictions. You guys let me know in the comments. What do you think the record is going to be for this year's Houston Texans? My name is Ruben Calavillo, and I drop daily Houston Texans content. Please make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for my latest Houston Texans news, rumors, and updates. Also, shout out my other Houston Texans content creators doing fantastic work. Want to give them the love. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I am excited for this season. We have a lot of primetime games. And I feel like this schedule for the Houston Texans, it's balanced. It wasn't like last year where you had the hardest part of your schedule towards the end of the season. I mean, hey, remember after the bye week, you had to play the Miami Dolphins, Kansas City Chiefs, and Baltimore Ravens 3 games in 11 days? I like the way this schedule has played out for the Houston Texans. So without further ado, let's get it started. Week 1 at LA against the Rams. This one, this is going to be a tough task for the Houston Texans coming out the gate, but I do think this is one where the Houston Texans get a W to start off this season. We have a scenario here, guys, where we've seen it all throughout history: teacher versus student. Los Angeles Rams head coach and play caller Sean McVay versus new offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans, Nick Caley, coming from the Los Angeles Rams. Now, even though I have this as a win, this is one of my toss-ups. I could see the Houston Texans losing a hard-fought game to the Los Angeles Rams, one that I would not be mad at after week 1. But I'm going with my gut. I said the Houston Texans get a W, but that's one of my toss-ups. Week 2 in Houston, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Monday Night Football, prime time. Let's go, Houston Texans. They start off the season 2-0, and this is another tough battle. And I'm going to be feeling real good about the Houston Texans, guys, after 2 weeks if they are 2-0, because the Los Angeles Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, last season were playoff teams. The Houston Texans have a first place schedule, guys. So when they get a win, it's going to mean a lot. Week 3, I got the Houston Texans getting a dub on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to be the first chance we get to see Travis Hunter. Is he going to play offense and defense? Because on offense, he's going to have to guard Nico Collins. I'm sorry, on offense, he's going to have to be covered by the best cornerback in the NFL, Derek Stingley. And on defense, he's going to have to guard one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, Nico Collins. It's going to be a tough task for Jacksonville in week 3. I think the Texans defense just puts a whooping. The Texans are going to go 3-0 on the season, and they're going to go 4-0 because at home they have the Tennessee Titans. The Texans, I'm trying to stop saying we. The Texans get their first look at number 1 overall pick Cam Ward. And, Coach Callahan, this is his guy. He sounds very excited. Tennessee, they feel like they can follow the trend of, the teams of the past 2 years, the Washington Commanders, the Houston Texans, a high draft pick invested into a quarterback, and that immediately paying off. We saw CJ Stroud go to the divisional round in year 1. We saw Jaden Daniels last year go all the way to the NFC Championship. So I could understand why Tennessee Titans fans are feeling themselves. But this Houston Texans defense is so damn good. The Houston Texans are going to be 4-0. Then we get to one of my, we got to play these guys again. And that is the Baltimore Ravens. And until the Houston Texans beat the Baltimore Ravens, that's going to be my first L of the season heading into the bye week. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry signing a 2-year contract extension just a few days ago, or I believe yesterday. The Baltimore Ravens, they're trying to get themselves into the Super Bowl. They got a 2-time MVP quarterback. Honestly, he could have been a 3-time MVP quarterback. But I have that one being an L for the Houston Texans. Now, week 6 is the bye week, and I myself have no issue with it being early. I'll rather have it be early than late. Because last year, the Houston Texans had their bye week around, I think, week 11, 12, or 13. And then immediately after that, they had the Miami Dolphins, Kansas City Chiefs, Baltimore Ravens, 3 games in 10, 11 days. Absolutely crazy. And if you remember, the Houston Texans were also in the Hall of Fame game during the preseason, so they had to play in that game. They also had a couple of weeks, to practice earlier than other teams, them and the Chicago Bears. The Texans were limping into the bye week, ladies and gentlemen. So I got no issue with week 6 being the bye. Week 7 after the bye, the Houston Texans are on the road in Seattle. Second matchup between C.J. Stroud and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold winning the first one with head coach Kevin O'Connell. I don't think Seattle is going to be a very good football team. I do know the environment is tough, but I have the Houston Texans taking a W here. Then the Houston Texans are on a 3-game home stretch. And here I have the Texans going 2-1. I have them beating the San Francisco 49ers in week 8, H-Town Blue. This is going to be a do it for D'Amico. Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. D'Amico Ryans served under Kyle Shanahan as a defensive coordinator. They went to the Super Bowl together. They have a lot of great moments together. And, D'Amico Ryans, he is loyal to Kyle Shanahan, man. So a lot of respect between these two guys. This is going to be a fun matchup. I think we win this one for D'Amico Ryans. Then in week 9, I have the Houston Texans getting another W. I have them beating the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton, Bo Nix, both of those guys, entering year 2. And there was a lot of hype around the Denver Broncos. What they were able to do last year, right? Shocking the world with the Washington Commanders. But this Houston Texans defense is elite, and it's going to be one of the reasons why you are the very best in the NFL. I have them winning this matchup. Then in week 10, man, after 2 hard-fought games against San Fran and Denver, I have the Houston Texans losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, week 10. Look, you got to give respect to Jacksonville. I think they're going to be better than what a lot of people think. I think they are miles ahead of the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans. I think Jacksonville has a chance to be very good this year, ladies and gentlemen. So I have the Houston Texans going 2-1 in that home stretch. Then on the road, the Texans will be at Tennessee. Cam Ward gets his second chance to get his get back against the Houston Texans because the Texans win their matchup, but that doesn't happen because the Houston Texans will be sweeping the Indianapolis Colts. They will be sweeping the Tennessee Titans this year. I hate the Tennessee Titans. No respect for them. Then a couple of days later, week 12, Thursday night football against the Buffalo Bills and MVP Josh Allen. I have this being a tough fought game. I have this being a game that the Houston Texans do take an L in. It's going to hurt. It's going to sting. But I think the Houston Texans get their biggest win of the season just a couple of weeks later. Then I have the Houston Texans here going on a 4-game win streak. I have them beating the Indianapolis Colts, their first crack at Indy. The big question is it Anthony Richardson at quarterback? Is it Daniel Jones? Is it Daniel Jones at quarterback? I think the Texans might have a realistic opportunity of playing against both. Then here is the biggest one of the season because you got to get one. You need one. You need to go and beat the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City on Sunday Night Football and just prove that you can hang with the big boys. You got to beat the Chiefs. I have the Texans taking a W here. Then I have the Houston Texans taking a dub against the Arizona Cardinals, beating Kyler Murray, Jonathan Gannon, and Marvin Harrison Jr. But I think the game is going to be tough. The last time the Texans faced Arizona, we saw C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell in their rookie season go absolutely insane. Then I have the Houston Texans once again winning at home week 16 against the Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is going to be a great matchup, but I think the Texans overcome a Las Vegas Raiders team that are, just trying to figure themselves out. Then week 17 against the Los Angeles Chargers, here it says TBD. I actually have the Houston Texans taking an L here. The Chargers, they get their get back right before the playoffs. At this point, the Texans are looking at seeding. They're looking at who they should start resting. I think this is a fun game, a hard fought game, but I think the Texans take the L here. And then in week 18, I think the Houston Texans also take L. So back to back weeks with the L. However, I will say this: this is a game where the starters are really not involved. I think this is a game where the Houston Texans maybe have CJ Stroud and the boys go about 1 to 2 drives, score a couple of touchdowns, and come off the field. And then it's either Davis Mills or Graham Mertz leading the way. I have this one being a toss up. I am wondering what Space City means. Hopefully, we get to find out soon. But I think the Texans go to 12-5, guys. I really do. Let's look at where 12-5 got the AFC last year. Give me one moment. Okay. So last year, 12-5 got the Baltimore Ravens the number one. I'm sorry, the number 3 seed in the AFC. I think that should be the goal for the Houston Texans. 12-5. Get yourself a round 2 playoff game in Houston. That's my record prediction, ladies and gentlemen. For more Houston Texans content, you guys know what to do. Feel free to follow me for more. Go Houston. Have a very blessed day.